I, if you'll play a little bit, I have some questions. So if you have a piece of paper and you want to take some notes, and it's not meant for you to have all the decisions today, but just sometimes what happens is you follow the popcorn trail, right? And one thing sparks and something else comes up. And then what happens is when you're going about your day, it'll come up and you'll say, oh, that's it, right? So by asking these questions, I say we're kind of shaking, getting the cobwebs down, shaking things up a little bit. So I have a couple of questions for you. The first step to incorporating your mission is to really get clear and take an honest assessment of what causes, right? What causes align best with your business. I mean, you might have to do some research on this. So obviously, Hannah, for you, something nutrition related, right? Maybe kids in school with nutrition. So volunteering to teach them cooking classes or doing a healthy food drive or, something along those lines, if that resonates with you. Now, it's interesting for me, people living in third world countries and homeless people ended up being the people that have less than my cause. I've never been homeless, right? But it happens. And sometimes it just falls in your lap. And so, just inviting you to kind of think about that. What do you think would align with your business? And Robin, tell me a little bit about what you do. If you have an idea, if you have something.
Yeah, I actually do. So I'm an intuitive and authenticity guide, and soon we'll be leading solo travel experiences. And I feel really called to lead young, like high school girls of color, take them to different countries.
You're not of color.
Yeah. And have them like raise the money, like do the work to raise the money for the journey and have grants available to support like the parts that they can't make up for.
Wonderful.
So I've kind of got an idea. It's kind of been unfolding in the background.
So let me go through the rest of the questions. What are your natural talents? List your natural talents, your core competencies, your professional skills, any training you've had, because sometimes within this, one or two things pop out. So you may decide to go on these trips and lead these trips, but you're clearly not going to take the lead on everything. You may bring other people in. So getting clear on what those talents are, right? So Hannah, of course, cooking is your thing, and leadership, because you're already doing cooking classes and I've been seeing, the buzz, and it's amazing. So you're very good at what you're doing. So that's what came to mind for me, Hannah, intuitively, was cooking, healthy cooking classes. So maybe, inner city after school programs, going in, doing some volunteer work. How does that sit with you, Hannah?
Yeah, that.
And it doesn't even mean that you have to take action now. It could be something that happens down the line. If you set that intention, it's amazing how the universe works and just drops it in your lap. And you're like, what? Did somebody just say that to me? Because people have been telling me I need to do this for the last 5 years, so just kind of percolate on it. So the next question is, who are your customers and what do they care about? Are they parents, pet owners, homeowners, business owners, veterans, teachers? So for you, Robin, your customers might be after school program leaders or directors of nonprofits, because they're really going to be your customers that you're reaching out to, because then they're going to reach out to the kids. Most likely those kids' parents are not going to say, hey, I saw this great opportunity for you. It's probably going to be a mentor, a school counselor. So think that way, getting to school counselors at inner city schools, or could even be DCF workers in inner cities, inner cities that may come across these one kids that's like, or parole offices, the diamond in the rough kind of thing. Like this is a perfect program for this kid. And then the next step is to identify the specific social problems you'd like to help solve. Consider what your brand represents, that most complements the cause, the more likely it will resonate with your clients and their customers. List the problems you'd like to solve. So Hannah, I know, because you and I have had conversations before, proper nutrition is really important to you, and educating people is really important to you. Now, I can tell you, as a former chef, and I taught hobby classes in inner city New Britain. There were 5 different schools, and it was a grant many, many years ago, and they paid me to do after school programs. And I was astonished that I went in and I taught 4th and 5th graders cooking. They had never even made pancakes before. I
That was
mean,
the first thing that I made by myself.
of course, that's every kid makes those, and we put sprinkles on them. We made them shapes, but it was, you know, I had these ideas that what I was going to do with these kids, but they don't have any cooking skills whatsoever. So, you know, thinking about what are the problems? What are the problems, right? Hannah, they probably don't have access. And, you know, Robin, for you, you know, the problem that maybe, you know, what you want to open these girls' eyes to the world, right? You want to give them, because they can't grow. They're living in their box like this, because I've worked with young girls. So I've done a lot of nonprofit, obviously, but they're like this. They have no idea. Even just the simple act, and this may be something for you, Robin, or even Hannah. I did vision boards with girls in Hartford. In a very bad section of Hartford. And I would go to the library and do a vision board. They didn't even know what to put on it. And I was giving them ideas. And it was just, you know, they were 13 to 15-year-old girls. They were putting things like a castle on it and, you know, princess, because they wanted to go to Disney, right? And then their peers are on the side of them saying, girl, you ain't never going there, you know, like kicking them right down right in front of them. So I had to change that language. Anything is possible. So even starting this healthy cooking program, you could even start with what do they think healthy food is? And they could do a vision board and paste different things of food on it.
Part of me is wondering if I should, because like for me, I didn't have really a concept of healthy foods until I was like 19 or 18. Like I almost envision more reaching parents and having it trickle down, because I feel like that is really what would cause an integration versus like teaching a 5th grader how to saute veg. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. And I think it depends on the demographics. So I can tell you that if you're talking about, you know, a suburbia mom that you want to help, which is also fantastic. To me, that's more of a pay program. If you're helping a suburban mom, yes, she's going to take the workshop. She's going to be involved and she's going to be into it. But if you're talking, you want to help an inner city mom, she doesn't have time for that. You're not going to reach her. She's off working her 3 jobs. She's lucky to make ends meet, and she's using her welfare checks to stretch 1,000 different ways, or her supplemental food income, you know, that kind of a thing. It really has to be the kids, their education, they don't have any knowledge about. So I think it's more of an educational piece, just something to throw out there, only because I've done a lot of work, you know, like it's kind of like they're living every day in survival mode. And here's the 10 things that are most important to them to survive. Feeding their kids healthier, it's at the bottom of the list. All they give a shit about is feeding their kids, getting diapers for the other kids, and paying their rent, not getting evicted. Like those are their everyday problems. Yeah. But I don't want to discourage you, because sometimes those opportunities will come up, and there's 100% nothing wrong with wanting to educate everyone. You know, you just have to kind of see where it falls. And sometimes these things are posting on your social media and talking about this on your social media. And it could be, you know, one of your followers on social media. It could be her neighbor works at an inner city place, or, you know, like you never know how the trail happens, but the right person or the right opportunity could come up, you know, for this. And then they tell you what they need and you kind of develop it. So asking yourself, if you're, it doesn't sound like either one of you are stuck on, right? It's maybe the hows, but not necessarily stuck on it. In Robin, I suggest you speak with my good friend, Sixia Divine, and her nonprofit is called Carita Smile. And she was actually, Carita Smile, Carita Smile. If you look on any of my social media, in my Instagram is ginajohnson.co. It's one of my saved stories of some of my trips to the Dominican. We travel over there and go to, it's third world country, obviously. I started going there. They didn't even have running water or electricity. They lived in huts, and we go every year, a couple of times a year, and we build homes. We do different things. May even make sense for you to go on one of those trips to see. She's amazing. I sit on her board now, just to have some exposure to see what that process is. So the next questions were, what will I do? How will I do it? Who am I doing it for? Right. And then also thinking, where can I get help? Who's going to support me? So who do you know has maybe already done it or is involved with that? So Hannah, it might even be a social media post for you, just throwing out there.
Well, also, I remember, was it Maura in at eWomen Network?
Maura Keening, yeah.
I think she has like a group of high schoolers, and we had talked about doing a class.
No, that is,
Yeah,
you're thinking Wendy.
No.
Maura is
the one who got COVID, who was wearing
Maura.
the mask.
Yeah, Maura works for the volunteers for the Junior League. Maybe she works with some high schoolers, but Wendy, yeah, the West Hartford Junior League, because she asked me to speak for them. Wendy is the one who received the award for Steps.
Yeah.
And that's in Norwich, and those are inner city girls.
Okay. I think I equated Junior League with
no,
juniors.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, kids, okay.
Yep. So once you've identified the cause, and you kind of have an idea, like what's the impact, right? So what is that? What's that big thing? So, Robin, what are you hoping to gain, right? To open their eyes and see there's a world. What is it?
It's more, so I actually have somebody that I'm going to, we've talked about partnering together, and
Great.
she went to Rwanda, Haiti. And when she stepped off on the plane in Rwanda, she was like, I feel like I'm home. Because it was the first time going to a country with all people the same color as her.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like broadening that, because there's like surrounded by a bunch of white people, and there's a diversity in our country, but it's like more connecting them to their roots.
Mm-hmm.
And then also showing them that there's more out there in this world, and that they are capable of traveling, and that it's not just for like a certain economic group or anything like that.
That's wonderful. And I think I feel like corporate sponsorship could definitely be a way to go. There are people that want to give back and just, don't know how. Specific companies, sometimes they do that adopt a child program for Christmas. They could adopt a child for their sponsorship program.
Yeah.
It's all about the exposure, which is why having a conversation with Wendy, because she's actually doing grant writing right now. And she definitely works with Hannah, who
Wendy
Ladd. Are you a member of eWomen?
I'm not, but I know her name.
You should be. No.
Okay.
Wendy Ladd, she's amazing. She's a beautiful soul. And she is the director at this program called Steps. And she brings in volunteers like myself, like Hannah, if you were to come in and do an after school program, which could be like an educational on nutrition, which I think that would be a great starting point.
She and I have talked about that when I first joined, but it got lost in the chaos.
Yeah, she's a great person, but she just learned how to do grant writing. So along with grant writing, which I would never want to do it, it's so much work. Along with that, there's a lot of research and a lot of education. So I think she's a wealth of information. And Robin, definitely connecting with Sixia and learning about her programs. I know we're doing one in January, helping young girls, giving them something to do, because the boys have baseball, softball, girls have nothing. They're literally getting pregnant at 12 and 13 years old. And then in early April, I'm leading a program for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs around social entrepreneurship. And we'll be building a sustainable garden for them in the village. So, but anyway, Sixia is an open book, and she will share, tips and tricks and, you know, I screwed up in the beginning and I should have done it this way. And I learned the hard way, go right there. She'll tell you like,
Cool.
you know, that kind of a thing. So there's a way of gently, right, and gently sprinkling that into your business, because we started our business, right? We're purpose-based entrepreneurs. We want to help people, and the people that are our customers and the people that follow us, especially for you, Robin, they're using their intuition, and their guides are sending them to you, just like with me, right? People like, oh, I know you're my coach. And they're like pulling out their credit card. They're like, oh no, Spirit told me I was going to meet my coach today. And then 2 people told me you need to connect with Gina Johnson. So they're like, no, I already know it's you. I'm like, okay, well, do you want to hear about my program? They're like, nope. Like some people are so clear. So I think there'll be a lot of that for you as well, but it's amazing. Once you,
sorry, go on. Sorry.
once you start thinking about it, it's like the dominoes just fall, and the right people and the right volunteer opportunities literally just fall from the sky in your lap. When
How do you do it if, because I'm still like, I've been doing like intuitive services with my business, and I'll carry that into my next venture. But when I launch like my new brand, I want to find a way to build in like a percentage of like 1% or 5% or whatever goes to this fund that will go for a grant, act as a grant.
Great question. And that would be a B Corp. So a B Corp is a for-profit nonprofit. So you have to apply for that. Connecticut was one of the first states to open that up to B Corps. And you can just say it's a small portion of whatever, but you don't need to be a B Corp to do that. You can still do that. You can still make a commitment, but I'll tell you a brief little story. Years ago, I started volunteering when I was 18 years old. I moved from the suburbs, you know, in a 4-bedroom home with a big backyard and all that other stuff, into a pretty trashy inner city, and lived in an apartment. And I had no idea the poverty that was going on around me. Everybody I knew lived in a home, kind of a thing. So I started volunteering when I was 18. I moved out with the clothes on my back. So it was rough. I was working, going to school, doing whatever I needed to do. And I realized that they were in survival mode and they were doing what they were doing. So I did my first volunteer opportunity and bought some toys for a kid at a shelter. And for many years, I'm an ex-Catholic, recovering Catholic. For many years, I hid all of my volunteer work because it was ingrained in us that you don't talk about it. You do something for someone without wanting anything in return, and you don't tell anybody you're doing it because that's bragging and that's this. And then I realized when I had my own kids, you can have a larger impact by sharing it with other people. And you can, one person can buy $75 worth of toys and help 10 kids. But if you do a toy drive and you involve 15 people and they're all bringing those 10 toys, and how many people are we impacting? And so that was a lesson that I learned. So when you think about this project, I want you to think about how can you involve your customers? Now, Hannah, I know you have 6 or 8 women right now taking your cooking class because they're all my friends and they post about it and they love it and they're having a ball. Even if it's something as simple as sponsor a meal for a child, and you put a $5 donation thing and you share what you're doing, and then you're able to go there and give each kid, you know, a $10 gift card for Stop and Shop or for something, with the intention of, like, you're going to go and you're going to teach them healthy cooking. Maybe you're going to do a meal, talk about what's healthy, what isn't. And at the end of the program, if there's 10 girls that are sitting there, you're going to give each of them a $10 card to the local grocery store and have them go in, and what's everyone going to buy? Somebody may say, oh, I'm going to buy fruits. I'm going to try an avocado. Oh, I'm going to try this, right? So, but you're giving it with, that's from your customers. Now you're taking pictures on social media. Now, obviously you can't take pictures of the girls, but of all the cards, of the impact, of whatever. And then you can even ask them to like hashtag out the pictures of the food or the fruit or the whatever it is. You're having a bigger impact. How do you think those 10 customers are going to feel? Like amazing. So when I went to the Dominican, on every trip, when I go, I ask for donations from my clients of toys, toothpaste, toiletries, We do blessing bags and we drive around and drop them off. And I mean, people come out literally with like no clothes on, no shoes on. They have their underwear on and shorts because I don't have clothing. And so I collect from my clients and I bring them there. And then when I get there, whatever specific thing, I'll snap a picture of that donation. Was one woman gave me like 4 pairs of sneakers. And so I managed to actually give them to someone, and they held the sneakers up and I took a picture and tagged her on social media. And she was like, literally, I was crying. I showed my kids that picture, like that's where their sneakers are. Like it, so you can have a bigger impact, and it's not about the buzz of my business and how am I looking. If you're doing it from your heart and you truly want to help, it's a win-win for everyone. And that's what Davia is talking about. This whole conference is shining your light. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was just off the top of my head. Because it's so fun for me. So just really think about involving those other people. Once I started involving other people, ended up being my daughter said, "Mommy, what do homeless people do when they have their period?" Driving through suburban Glastonbury, I was like, I don't know. Let me ask this former client who has a daycare center in inner city that we ended up building a community clothing closet in. And the concept was I took clothing from suburban Glastonbury affluent community and brought it to them in Hartford, where they're used to getting cheap quality clothing. They're scrounging through donations, but we built this closet with, racks by size and beautiful clothing came in dry cleaner bags. So we asked the woman and she said, well, they go to McDonald's and Burger King and they steal it from the napkin holders and that's what they use. I was like, oh, next day I go on Facebook, here's what to do with your old purses. And it's full of tampons and pads. And I was like, oh shit, here I go again. So that was the first of probably 15 different purse projects that I did. So I get all of my clients together, my friends, my neighbors, and everybody brings their old purses together and collects all their toiletries. And we stuff them in tampons and pads. Of course, we make it a party with food, wine, and fun, right? But we're impacting. And so sometimes 250 purses were stuffed, but it all stems from one little thought. It was my 13-year-old daughter saying that. And the next day, there was that picture. So when I tell you to trust your intuition, and this is what I wrote on my sign today, trust. And trust that once you have this thought in your head, it's literally going to fall in your lap. And you just have to keep following the breadcrumb trail. Any questions? I mean, we're such a small group. I think we could even flesh out some of your stuff if you wanted to.
I think we need more than 10 minutes for that.
Well, I mean, I think we could just chat a little bit.
Yeah.
How is that feeling, Hannah? Like, how does that feel for you? Like contacting Wendy and maybe going and starting to just do one little cooking class and see where it goes.
Yeah, it sounds doable for sure. And I think it would, yeah, like it feels aligned and it feels like the right thing to do. So
Good.
yeah.
Good. And like I said $10 donation, but it could be 15, it could be 20, it could be whatever you feel your clients would want to do, but it's just a way to involve them.
Yeah.
I mean, probably those girls have probably never even had an avocado. Honestly. Robin, any comments? Anything you want us to help you brainstorm on?
Yeah, I want it so my vision is to have a grant as backup, but I want to empower the girls to do their own, do a side hustle or do something to get them in the spirit so they understand the value in working towards something and saving and all of that. Because I heard this story years ago, this woman that she started a jewelry business. She's from Dallas and she went to Africa and she lived in the slums, and she was like, oh, I'm going to build a school. So she went back to Dallas and was collecting all these funds because she went to a wealthy she lived in a wealthy neighborhood, her parents and everybody, and was collecting it and went back there. And they were like, the parents were like, we don't need a school. We are teaching our kids. We need to work. We want to work. And so she missed the boat on asking the community what they needed, rather than just thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this and do this good deed. And so that story's always stuck with me, where it's like asking the community and like partnering with people who know, because obviously it's like, I'm a white woman, so I'm not going to be able to identify the same way. So it's partnering with people who understand those communities, who can then speak and say like, okay, this is what they need. And so it's kind of like the teach a man to fish.
Right. I can tell you that over time, I've earned the respect in those communities, because they get, I'm just not a flash in the pan, and they understand by, the way I speak and how I respect them and my knowledge and experience of years. Because it's not just, once or twice I've worked on these projects. It started a long time ago that I started working with, and it ended up being like, helping somebody get beds and clothing because they're going to lose their kids, because DCF is going to come if they don't have 3 beds. And so I send out an email and get all these people involved. And within 24 hours, we've got, 2 bunk beds set up, and kids have a drawer and all their stuff is off the floor. And then the mom gets to keep her kids. And, but again, these people just fall in my lap. So it does take time for them to earn that. So yes, you need to understand and align yourself with someone, but you might be more knowledgeable than the person with a different skin color. So it really just depends if they're involved with that community. You know what I mean? Like because somebody with brown skin walking into one of those communities, it's not an automatic trust. You could have more trust with them if you really know, but that's a great point by asking and listening and seeing what they really want,
Yeah.
And I like the idea of them being involved.
Yeah.
I would take that to a different level, and I would say they want to be involved. Have them come up and brainstorm the ideas and the fundraisers.
Because that's what my niece, she's turning 16, and I'm supposed to be taking her to London, but in November, that's not going to happen because COVID. We'll do it next year. But I've been telling her, I'm like, I will take you, I promised. And you've got to come up with the money and save the money for a passport. So it's like, you want to go, but it's like, you gotta
ownership,
be creative and think of ways that you can do something to make money. Because it'll mean more to her than if I just like bought it, did it all for her.
Right. 100%. I can tell you from running that community closet for all those years, the people that come in and shop, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's no, you have to qualify, you have to this, you have to that. Because I did it without a grant, and I just did it myself with my kids, and one other friend helped. And I can tell you that they want to help. They're homeless. They're shopping for things, and they're not taking too much because they don't want to take from somewhere else. How much can I take? Because everything they do is rules. When they go to a soup kitchen, you get 1 piece of bread, you get 1 cup of coffee with 2 sugars, you get 1 this, and everybody has to get the exact same thing. Because I worked in soup kitchen for 10 years, I volunteered. So they have that mentality when they're getting a handout, you have to ask, because they don't want to get in trouble. Because if they get in trouble and they take too much, they get kicked out. And so they would come, right? But other volunteers would be like, why are they asking that? And so I know, because I volunteered in so many different places, this is their mentality. This is why they don't want to get kicked out. And so when I give them the bag and I say, no, you can fill it up and take whatever you want. And they're like, what? They can't believe I can take whatever I want. They still don't fill the bag, because number one, they're carrying their stuff with them to a shelter to shelter. But number 2, they want to leave it for someone else. They're not going to take 2 pairs of boots. They're going to leave them. And if they do, they're going to say, can I take a pair of boots for my son or for blah, blah, blah. Like it's really, they're asking permission. You'd be surprised how humble they are. Yeah. So it's really fun. It's really fun, rewarding work. But it can be sad, and you have to be able to leave it there and know you're helping people and not let it take over your life. Because that's happened to me before. My kids are like, Mom, how much more do we have to volunteer? They would have to fill their thing out for high school, and you had to put in 30 hours of volunteer work. And they were like, I start filling it out after 3 pages. It's 30 hours. I did 30 hours in 2 weeks this summer, because I would drag them to everything. But because of that, my daughter's a sophomore and she joined a sorority for philanthropy, and she's leading and running all of these things, and she wants to travel the world and help people. So, eventually I guess it stuck with her.
Robin, have you ever thought about leading high school groups? Like, I know my school did trips to like Vietnam and Peru, and like the
I
chemistry
haven't.
teacher. Oh, you haven't? How does it feel?
No, and it's like the thought of being with a bunch of children, teenagers is different, but yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, although I am a cool aunt and teenagers do like me, so it could be.
I'd wanna go on a high school trip with you.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle.
Hello, ladies.
You late to the party. Welcome.
I'm a little late. I had to take care of something and it went a little longer than I anticipated. So,
Right
That's all
on
right.
time.
but nice to join you all.
We were just brainstorming and we answered some questions, and I'm happy to share those questions with you if you're really interested in this topic, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Another time, maybe we
you
can do a
bet.
virtual coffee chat, and we can discuss and share some ideas about, what excites you, what would align with your brand, how could you give back? And do you have something in mind already? And one of the things that I was mentioning was it's really important to include your current clients and customers in it, because you can have a bigger impact. And Robin was just given an example of a story of not asking what people need and not just deciding, oh, they need a new school in this community, but really they don't need a new school, but in your mind you thought they did, kind of thing. Do you have something for your business? Or your new business?
I don't yet, but I'll tell you, when I launched at the party a couple of weeks ago, I asked that question to the group and said, what's the social entrepreneurialism that we're going to engage in as a group? And we're going to figure that out as we build it.
One thing that just popped into my head intuitively was a mentorship program. So exposing high school girls who are unsure of their career path, because not everybody fits in the college cookie cutter.
Yes.
To have a shadow day, to come, and have a different sponsor and walk them through the machine shop or bring them on the job site or something like that. That could be something.
Absolutely. I talked to two women from college last night and this morning that both of them said to me, I don't know what to do my first day on a job site. And I was like, that's my next big thing. And then figure out how to partner with companies to walk them on and allow them to see how that looks.
I'm thinking even on a different level of taking it to a high school level.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
There are kids in high school that have no direction. They don't know where they want to go, but they know it's a trade. They know it's a hands-on something. They just don't know what it's at. So having a program where they can just come all these different, hands-on construction businesses and shadow, that could be something.
I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Chat soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys had a good breakout session. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? I have a quick question for you. Oh, there's like the sun. Watch me complaining about the sun. How can a person complain about the sun? That's not a thing to complain about, right? It's beautiful that the sun's shining brightly. It's beautiful that it was raining a lot yesterday evening, but this evening when we have our little after hours get together with Gina Johnson as our organizer over by Water's Edge today, the sun is shining brightly. So I don't know, it feels like even the sun is being a beacon for us today. I don't know. I just pulled that one. Maybe not. I want to get a couple of quick shares from folks. Was there anything that stood out for you so significantly that you really feel like you got to share it with everybody else? I took an opportunity to pop my head in to a couple of the rooms. I got a chance to hear a tiny bit of Gina. I had an opportunity to actually watch Laura for a minute during her movement. I don't know if you saw me peeking in at you, Laura, but I did. And then I ended up settling in with Debbie's group because I don't know, Spirit suggested that that's where I needed to be. I have I just have so much I feel in common with Debbie. And even though we kind of move in the same circles, but we kind of move in a parallel path, so we don't often meet. But she was talking about how water is sort of her touch point. And I was like, oh my God, same. And she was talking about how when she was little, she would say things that the grown-ups around her would be like, yeah, you don't want to say things like that. That's going to make people think that you're superstar weird. And I was like, oh my God, Debbie, I feel you because I am you. It's really, really interesting that I ended up exactly in the room that I needed to be in. How about you guys? Can somebody share with me who was in Gina's room? What was your main takeaway from Gina? Don't all hop on at once. Go ahead and unmute, Michelle. I can hear you
Okay.
perfectly.
So I only literally popped in for the last minute, and she like, boom, right there, gave me something to think about, which was a mentorship program for young women in high schools, to learn about choosing construction as a path of their career. And I mentioned that I had had spoken with two young college women last night and this morning, and they too said to me, I have no idea what to do once I get on a job site. And so we were kind of chatting about this social entrepreneurialism and how can I do that, and a mentorship program would be a great fit for that. So thank you, Gina, and I look forward to chatting with her again. Thank you.
So before you mute yourself again, Michelle, I would love for you to just share with the group who you are and what it is that you do. And then I think all of what you just said will have a little bit more perspective for everybody.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Devia. So I'm Michelle Lemoy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Elevate Women in Construction. I have created a community for women in the industry to belong, to show up, to be seen and heard, to network, gain valuable resources, support, and training, so that they can move from surviving in their careers to thriving and show up as the best version of themselves.
That is awesome. And so the reason I really want you to explain that to everybody is because I identify with you so much. You are a woman in a very, let's say, male-dominated field. Would that be correct in saying? And so being able to be in Gina's work group today was, I think, the best place for you, because the next generation, once in a while, I have the opportunity to talk to the young women out there. And I swear to you, it's the thing that warms my heart the most. It really, really is. And your ability to be able to set up a program so that next generation women in construction can have a place to go. Because I'm sure there are women out there right now. We have one of our Ladies Power Lunch members. Her daughter is actually in a welding program in her high school, right? And she loves it. That's her beacon.
Yeah.
She adores it, but she doesn't have any community of women who are in that industry. So can you imagine Michelle, guys, being out there, being that beacon for these young women who are coming next? Come on, guys, she needs a flag.
You're all the best. Thank you.
I
Love
love that. Love that, love that, love
Yeah.
that. You were in the right place at the right time. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. I want to invite us to give us a little bit of feedback from somebody who was in Lori's room, please. I want to know what was going on in there because I could kind of hear through the door because she's like 2 doors down from me right now. I could kind of hear through the door laughing, and I'm like, oh, I'm having a little bit of FOMO right now. I don't know what's happening over there. Should I go in that room and check it out? What's happening? Can somebody who was in Lori's room just unmute and start speaking? Go, Lynn.
Sure, I'll go. Lori was talking about, of course, the your geographical soulmate, and we really had a great discussion around how that connects to all of your senses. And what I loved what Lori said most was really allow yourself to feel the nature calling you from that location, and really allow your childlike wonder to come out into your business, because that can truly inspire others to be drawn to your business. And I think that's something we forget sometimes. We're afraid to let that childlike wonder come out because we're these women and we're trying to be serious. And like let that wonder come out. Be a little silly, be a little childlike in your business, and don't suppress it. Let it shine out. So that really stood out in our session. And
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely. I was there too. And yeah, the childlike wonder, bringing it into your business for sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Barb, for sharing that as well. I think that we're all way too serious. For those of you who are very close to me, you know, I'm always trying to make a corny joke about something, or I'm always trying to see how can we have a little bit more fun. I feel like, I don't know, somebody flipped a switch at some point and suddenly we became grown-ups. Who is not okay with that? Type no in the chat. How about what would happen if we were all having more fun in our lives? What would that feel like? Wouldn't that be amazing? And the truth of the matter is, like Lori shares with us, is that when we are sharing that childlike wonder, when we are just having a good time at being our beacon, that's the time when we are our most attractive. I have a question for you, and I want you to answer me honestly. On the day when you are having the most fun and you're just in the flow, don't you find that people are magnetically drawn to you? You find that that's the day that the phone starts ringing. That's the day when the new customers start coming in. That's the day when you check your email and you're like, what? I remember meeting that person like 500 years ago and they're reaching out to me now. How is this happening? But you're in your flow. You're embracing that childlike wonder. Akanke, I see you. And I know you know. You're having a good time. And when you're having a good time, you are the most attractive that you have ever been. Mary Carangelo tells us, she teaches us all the time that we just need to be comfortable in the things that we are wearing, in the way that we're presenting ourselves. Feel that level of confidence, because all of it comes together to help us to be the best beacon, the best, brightest beacon that we can be. Say that 5 times fast. Somebody, anybody, or not, that's fine too. Who was in Elizabeth's room? So I peeked over at Elizabeth's room, and I have to say, Elizabeth had a lot of people in her room. So I'd love to see some hands. And, you know, you could just unmute, shout out, hey, I loved Elizabeth.
Yeah,
that
it was
works.
a great session. I enjoyed it. We first did a writing prompt to help us to get in touch with times when we went through some kind of transformation and healing, and to write around that and to write around what we got out of that time in our lives and how we can use that in service to others. So that was like connected to our personal journey. And then we switched to talking about how we could use writing in our business, how to articulate our business, how to embed our own stories in our promotional materials so that people can really connect to us. And we also talked about how to monetize our writings, different ways to do that. So she gave us lots of great ideas. She talked a little bit about leading an anthology or leading a collaboration, and hopefully she's going to do a master class or something on that for us to enroll in. It was overall great. I was inspired by the writing prompt because I got in touch with a pattern that I have. And so I didn't get a chance to share that in the group, but thank you so much for that, Liz. It's good to become aware of patterns so that we can see how they serve us and what they're teaching us. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Akanke, for really sharing that with us. And one of the reasons why this coming from you is so poignant is because you are an expert storyteller. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blow up your spot here. I'm gonna actually get behind your beacon and shine it for you, because Akanke's background is in broadcasting and media, and Akanke for a while was our go-to person when we were supporting our Visibility Circle members for the speaking portion of the program, because Akanke is a master speaker trainer. So for Akanke to be saying that she got some really good nuggets from Elizabeth's workshop, this is very meaningful for me, because it all comes back to that idea of us being not a hierarchical organization, but we're a heterarchy. Everybody has something that they're doing amazingly well, and we're all contributing to the whole. We're all helping each other's lights to shine so much brighter. So thank you, Akanke, for sharing with us. I am wondering who was in the room with Laura. I saw quite a few of you in there, and y'all were really getting involved with a movement practice when I popped in, and I didn't want to disturb, so I popped right back out. So would somebody like to just unmute and share with us about takeaways that you had with hanging out with our dear friend Laura, all the way from the United Kingdom? Who was there?
I will.
Go Annie! Yay! Oh my gosh, it's Annie, guys.
So we were standing and moving, and what she had us do was release stress, and she had us release anything that wasn't serving us, and we just dumped it out. And then we moved our bodies, and we just did all this. I don't know, is it Qigong? Maybe somebody can correct me here, but it's an exercise that I do every morning where I take whatever's on my body and I release it, And then we got to our sexuality, which it doesn't matter, whatever age you are, we embrace that part of our bodies. And I mean, that's one part that stood out for me, if anybody knows me. But anyway, so we did that, and we just honored every part of our body. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And I never wanted it to end. We just took this ball of beautiful light that we created, and we just melted it over our bodies, and it was like liquid gold. And we just felt sensuality. I know that's what I felt. And I felt love, and tremendous love of myself. And it was just a beautiful experience. That's all I can say. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
Anybody else who wants to add to that, you're absolutely welcome to just pop on and share. Thank you so much, Annie. That was really, really wonderful of you to share with all of us about the experience that you had in the room with Laura. I know there were quite a few people who were in the room with me, with Debbie. Is there anybody who, that's not me, that would like to share about their experience working with Debbie's workshop? You can just unmute and
This is Jamie. I'll share from Debbie's room. It was amazing, the whole thing, just going through. We did a breathing exercise to begin with, and just kind of went through some ways of centering ourselves with breath and journal and emotions and energy and that kind of thing. But the thing that I think the most with me was getting out of your head. And so instead of having a reaction with your head, have a response from your heart and from your gut, and I think I oftentimes just don't let myself do that. So kind of just taking a moment and centering myself and doing that, I think will really be helpful going forward.
beautiful. That's so wonderful. So one of the things that we were able to do with this platform and Captive that we're using to host Our Ladies Power Lunch Fall Summit. Hey, Zeph, I see you. Thank you. One of the things that we're able to do is that each of our authors, each of our presenters, each of our workshop facilitators, they had the opportunity to set up a booth and to also make an offer. And so right over there in the Captive site, there is an opportunity for you to take advantage of offers from maybe some of the people that you didn't get a chance to hop into their workshops, but you might want to know a little bit more about what it is they offer. Or maybe you had the opportunity to be in their workshop and you want more. There is a really great opportunity for you to just pop over into the Captive site and check in on all the offers that are there. Zeph, anything to say about that?
I think just a reminder to everybody that I'm going to put in the link right here, just in case. And right there, so you can see the offers. I think just to remind everybody that the site is open for a week after today. So that means October 26th at 3 p.m. that will be closed down. So you will not be able to enter or access the site. So this is the opportunity to connect, claim your offers, and also visit the expo booth. And I too am running a play to win. So go to the Vendor Shows Live expo booth and check on the chat on how to play to win. It's a $30 gift pack. So play to win.
Awesome.
I brought my smileys again too. So,
so cute. That's awesome. Thank you, Zeph. And thanks for just being an amazing producer of our event. We really do appreciate you. What I want to remind us about also is that, yes, we were in the breakout rooms with the people that we chose to be with today. But as Zeph is reminding us, you will have the recordings for all the breakout rooms. By the end of today, it's my intention for you to have all of them up in the site, and they're going to be available for one full week past the event. And so if there was something that you were interested in, but you weren't able to have the opportunity to pop into that particular room because you haven't figured out cloning yet and being in two places at the same time is difficult for you and you're not me, then fine. Just go ahead and check out the site at a later time. Really, really great opportunity. Certainly something that we did not have access to on our last summit and that we're really happy to be able to share with you at this time. So if you want to watch all those other videos, just give me a little bit of time this evening to pop in today's videos. And then by tomorrow, you should be able to see both the days available for you.
Yeah. So Davia, the videos you sent me, everything for day one is up. Yay, Zeph work miracles. So all your sessions for day one, they're up in the agenda. So how your breakout sessions for Spark and Bonfire, Davia, for every of the presenters, they have their own session now on the agenda. So just look for which session for Spark, which sessions for Bonfire, and the presenters' names are on that exact agenda session. So just click it and you will see the video right there. And then there's a chat for every session. Feel free to share your thoughts there. I'm sure the presenters would love to see your feedback. So the chats are functional, use it.
I feel as though we've had a great opportunity to learn a little bit about this site, but we haven't even really taken advantage
it.
of
Yep.
its full functionality and all the fun things that we have available to us to be able to do with this site for Summit. So it's really a great opportunity that we'll be able to have access to this summit for one whole week after. All right, it's 2:22, and you know what that means? Does anybody know what that means? Because I don't know what that means. What does it mean? It means
Make a
it's
wish.
2:22.
Make a wish.
It's a auspicious time of day, 2:22. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the room, and I don't know. I'm just going to reset the room for a minute. So if you guys want to take a 2-minute break, you can do that. And then come on back at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll get started with our planning session, and we'll wrap up the show. 2:22 means 2 angels are currently present with each of us, says Debbie. Of course, because we don't just need 1 angel, we need 2. Yay! Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to reset the room, and I'll be right back. Thanks.